It's time for a shift. This is the shift. Big change, big things, a new phase. Yeah, big change, big things.
How good and how pleasant it will be to see the unification of all Africans. These are the words from the legendary Bob Nestor Marley. And this is the shift. And I'm your host, Kobby King. You can call me the King. Today, I have some beautiful people in the house. Yes, sister. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for the invite.
You're always welcome.
Since we've been here in Ghana, it's been nothing but love, 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 and we feel like we're home, right?
This is home.
Yeah, it is home. We don't even want to
regardless.
leave. We really don't want to leave. This has been the quickest 2 weeks of our lives. But to introduce myself, my name is Shenice Evans. I am the president.
Say it again. Hold on.
Okay, Shanice Evans.
Shanice Evans.
Yeah,
okay.
Shanice
The way you
Evans.
said Shanice Evans, it's like two things together at
No,
once.
that's just that fast talking. So if I need to slow it down, definitely let me know. But again, my name is Shenice Evans from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 215, stand up to everybody listening on live.
Philly in the house, y'all.
Philly in the house. So I am the president of X-pozure. X-pozure is a consulting firm. So we consult, we connect, and we collab, and our goal is to help people reach their goals career-wise and business-wise, as well as connect organizations and companies together for a good collaboration. I'm also the ambassador for the 400 Legacy Project, where Rudy would introduce himself, and we also collaborated on this whole trip. And I want to also give a shout out to our other collaborator as part of this whole trip to Ghana, which is 102.6 The Situation in Atlanta. We all collaborated to make this trip possible and work together on different adventures. So it wasn't just me by myself. We definitely. So I'm grateful to be here. I can't wait to continue to work with you and some other projects, bring some other great people in.
You're
and
home.
Shout out to also, I can't introduce myself without giving a shout out to my team from X-pozure, and I want to give a shout out to my chief financial officer, Nathan Harris, because he holds it down while I'm here paying all the bills, while I'm here living a life. And also special shout out to my VP, because I couldn't do without him, my cousin Ezekiel Evans. He definitely holds down the fort.
Shout outs to the whole Evans family.
Yes, right. To the Evans family, Stanley Perry, Harris Perry, everything. Yes, and so I'll pass it over to Rudy so he can get started.
My brother, Rudy.
What's going
That's
on?
your name, Rudy,
yes,
right?
Rudy.
Are you rude?
Yeah, no. When I'm hungry, though, I can get a little...
okay.
But don't push him. He ain't no killer, but don't push him.
Right. Tell us about you, bro.
Yes, so thank you for having me. My name is Rudy Simpson, the president of the 400 Legacy Project. So our mission is just to build with other like-minded organizations and individuals who are setting the precedent for the next 400 years. So my organization is built off of 4 pillars: economics, education, leadership, and culture. So these are our pillars that we're starting off with. Just when it comes to creating or establishing model communities, not one general model community, but just what we need to set a beautiful future for the youth. So along with that, I am the Atlanta lead for a Forbes network, Forbes the Culture. I'm also a community development strategist in the United States. So I do a lot of work in the city of Philadelphia, Atlanta, California, and some other cities. So my journey here to Ghana was to do the same thing, see how we can discover ways that we can set the precedent, unite the diaspora, build change, and working with Shanice as an ambassador. Shout out to my team as well, Jared Wilson, Rasheed Knox, and just those who have been pioneering out certain projects and initiatives so that we can be an asset to the people of Ghana. So that's just a good bit about me, and I'm sure I'll be able to share a little bit more throughout the interview.
Okay. So where are you from? Like, where in the United? You from here though, but where were you born?
I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Yep. Raised in DeKalb County, the Lithonia, Georgia area.
Okay.
So for those familiar with Atlanta, you all know that's a lot of different sides. You got the east, west, north, and south. So I was born in the city, raised in the eastern parts of Atlanta.
Right. So how was it like growing up as a black child in Atlanta, Georgia?
Oh yeah, so for me it was beautiful. I grew up with both my parents. My father, he passed in 2011. God rest his soul. But he was he was older than my mom, about 9 years older than my mom. So he had already lived a life, had already been married before.
Right.
Things of that nature, had children. So when he met my mom, she was his last wife. They were married like 20 plus years, and I feel like that was the time of his life where he wanted to get it right.
Right.
And not saying he did anything wrong in the past, but he was a young father growing up. So by the time he had me and my 3 other siblings, he was a little older in his life. So I had the pleasure of having a father who was a provider. Right. He was there. He was present. My mother, same way. She's from Atlanta. He was from Alabama. So she was about 21 when she met him. Had me around like 24, 25. So having both my parents who were real committed in the experience for their children, making sure that we all grew up and didn't go without, even if we couldn't have everything, we got it when it was time. So I feel like that right there was something that that's a story that you may not hear common within the black community for young black boys and girls. So I did have friends and classmates who who weren't exposed to my type of life. Right. So I wasn't able to relate. However, I always made sure that I was like that good friend. I treated them like brothers and sisters because I had brothers and sisters. I was able to, when I got older, become more empathetic to people because I was able to, like, I guess, communicate and listen more. Because, some people just live their life, oh, yeah, my parents, I got this, I got that, I'm too good. But from my experience as a black boy, I feel like having parents really helped you. Yeah, it really helped. And my beautiful brothers and sisters, they were always there. If it was like, hey, mom, we want to go, can we go here, can we go there? She was like, no, play with your brothers. Like, it
was a beautiful.
It was beautiful. Yeah. Right. So a lot of, I can't say that for everyone else, but for me, it was a beautiful experience.
That means you really had a very good example of what a man is.
Correct.
You had a mentor. Yeah. Since you were a child.
Yep.
And has that been very helpful for you?
Yes. After my father passed in 2011,
rest in peace.
Yeah, man. I became a father in 2014.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my son, he'll be 7 this year. But I feel like that adversity of not having my father through my adulthood, but I guess relying on the foundation that he put in me to be a father, it definitely came in handy. And most 22-year-olds and people in their 20s, they're living their life. Me, I'm working on being a provider, making sure I'm at work, making sure I'm building out my career, making sure I'm networking, making sure that I'm making the right decisions then, so that I can be sitting here, on a radio station, at the motherland, having these type of conversations, so that God willing, I live to see if I am to go off and be with the Lord. And my son, he'll be able to say the same statements, like, I had my father for this amount of time, but he instilled in me what his father instilled in him. So I feel like having my father definitely prepared me to becoming a father.
Wow. That's awesome. Good. It's good that
thank
we
you.
have.
Thank
Sister,
yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Philadelphia.
Philly?
Philly, yes. Philly.
Philly,
yes.
Which part of Philly?
All over. Uptown, North Philly, Albany. They call it B&O. But yeah, different parts of Philly. Yeah.
How was it like?
I mean, growing up in any other city, I would say kind of grew up in not the exact same situation, but a similar situation where it really took a whole village to raise me.
Right.
Very close community, very close family community, and even I'm an Israelite, so very first way of life community. I don't want to say it's a religion, but when we all just grew up sheltered, like he was saying, oh, mom, can I go here? It was like, no, do this. And so you don't appreciate that until you get older, when your mom or your parents say you can't do certain things, and they're shielding you. We talk about that now as adults. The kids who parents let them just do whatever, it kind of reflects in their life as adults. Like, okay, you could tell your parents right let you do some stuff too soon, but having that parent that was set those boundaries, it really helped mold you, that you were in 13 doing any and everything, you were in 18 doing any and everything. So when you're growing up, you can't really respect that. But growing up in Philadelphia, where violence is prevalent everywhere, but you know, where you could be susceptible to things too fast, whether it be drugs or just bad decisions, having that parent that says, no, you can't do this, or hang out with your cousins, or hang out with, you know, you only could go over a certain friend's house. You can appreciate that later in life because, you know, it kept you safeguarded. And then, you know, I always to have this story, like, I didn't even know we were out in certain stages of our lives because my mom just always found a way, you know, to provide. And I'm fortunate enough to have my mom, my dad, my stepdad, and the stepmom. So I have, you know,
everything.
4 parents, right?
Wow, that's awesome.
Right, that at different stages of my life, whether they were there in the beginning or not of my life, but even now that I'm 40, like, they still continue to parent me, and I'm grateful for that because we have a tendency as we grow up, oh, when I get 18, no one can tell me what to do. When I get 21, no one can tell me what to do. Well, I'm 30, and although I didn't always listen to that, as I get older, I appreciate them still continuing to parent me because I made enough mistakes. So their guidance and is really just helping me still navigate through life. So I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of that.
Right. So when you were growing up, when you decided to go play with some other kids that were not Israelites, Israelites,
yeah,
right?
sure.
And your mother would say otherwise, how was it feeling like?
I mean, so one thing about what my mom would say is she, you know, knew my close friends. I always was a person that have to have 1,000 friends. So she was okay with me having friends that was not Israelites, but she still knew their mom, or she knew them, or she, you know, was, you know, cool with them. So she wasn't too restrictive on that, but it was setting the precedent of, like, she not going to let me hang out with everybody. Like, you know, you're not going to do certain things. So she was receptive of that. But again, she still knew who my friends were. It wasn't a friend that I didn't have that she didn't know. And so, like, again, I could appreciate that now because sometimes kids can get into something like, oh, your kid got in a car accident with this. Who's that? Who's Jack? Who's John? Like,
no, I understand that. I mean, parents got to be sure about, you know, the kind of company their kids follow in. It's very important. But then do you think that religion is a subject that is actually helpful when it comes to black people and uniting and everything? Because I've heard in instances where people, even in relationships, that they could not actually get along because one belonged to one faction and the other belonged to the other. I mean, not in a bad way, but they felt that they could not connect because of that. The bigger.
And usually in situations like that, it's usually not the people, it's the families who get involved that say, well, this person believes like that. I think in any friendship or any relationship, you do have to set what you expect, right? I can't answer for all Israelites. I can't even answer for everybody that's in my family that's Israelite, but I only answer for myself. And I would say that when it comes to friendships, you just have to know who you are. And if someone is truly your friend, they're not going to ask you to do anything that goes against, like, being an Israelite for me is not a religion, it's a way of life. It's how I live my life every day. Am I perfect? No, but I make that effort. So my friends knew on Friday night, don't ask me to go anywhere, right? Don't ask me to do certain things on Saturday, because if you're truly my friend and you know me, you're not going to ask me to do certain things that's a contradiction. And then vice versa, right? I'm going to respect whether they're like practicing hard or not. That's not for me to judge. I'm going to respect what you do, and that should not conflict with our friendship. You know, like me and Rudy were different ways, like, but from the time I met Rudy, we've been able to talk about God, and it's not a conflict of like, we don't even really talk about what we believe. We respect the Most High, and that hasn't, our friendship or our business relationship, it hasn't conflicted with it. Now, when it gets to relationships, it could get more complicated, because with relationships come marriage and kids and, you know, so then it can get more complicated depending on the people. But it definitely has to be a conversation piece when you want to talk about marriage, because you don't want to have it after marriage and then it becomes an issue of why you can't love this person, or it becomes a big conflict. I think it's just you understanding who you marry and then respecting each other. Can two people that are this, you know, different ways of life get married and be in two different religions if they can respect each other and that's what they want to do? Can it work for everybody? No. Sometimes somebody has to make their choice to come to somebody's way of life. You know, I would prefer to get married to somebody that's in my way of life. You know, I would, but I'm not speaking for everybody.
I was going to ask you that question. That Because the issue with love it goes way deeper than, you can meet somebody random.
Yes.
Could be even another race.
It can happen suddenly.
So would you let religion, or would you let a way of life define what is actually real for you?
No, because I would say like this. I wouldn't let religion or what someone thinks, unless they're atheist, then I can't. It's like if you don't believe in nothing. But if you are spiritual, right, or if you say, hey, I may not have a organized religion or organized way of life, but I'm spiritual, and you recognize a higher power, we could begin to have that conversation. But to be truthfully and honestly, the way I've been raised, the way I've been taught, I couldn't be a good example to my siblings or to my mentees or even to my cousins if I didn't say I would prefer someone in this way of life, and I would want that. Would I be open to someone say, hey, I respect what you do, and I'm gonna keep Passover with you, I'm gonna keep all those things with you, but I may not join your. That's the conversation piece. That's really, because I don't want to get on here and fraud and be like, yeah, they're gonna do this, and then my life is something else. I'm gonna just tell you what I prefer. I will prefer someone who we can pray together, who we can worship together, and if that mean they have to go to the same place of worship, maybe we go to two different places, but at least we understand that the Shabbat is Shabbat. We believe in, one God, and we are practicing the same thing that will help. And somebody I could pray with. We could pray together, then I think everything goes with it.
Brother. So let's say you're in a situation where you have to get in with her, on that level, and you have to actually, because you probably might be another faction, or you might be Jehovah's Witness. Right. And she's a Israelite, right? And she's telling you, before you get with me, you have to conform to all that she believes in. What are you gonna do?
Well, I don't know. My perspective may be different.
Just put it out there.
From most women, even guys who date. But I feel like, just even when it comes to beliefs, whether it be, how much money does a guy make? It's like preference. Right. So if I meet a woman and she says, you have different beliefs, we can't kind of move forward. It's okay, because it's one of those where, what's meant for me will be for me.
Right.
And a lot of the times people aren't wrong for people. They're just not right for you. And, and a lot of, and a lot of guys and gals, women, but a lot of men, they get so caught up like, oh, I just want her. I have to have her. She has to be with me. But a lot of the time, maybe she's just not right for you. What's out there for you have to be for you. But for you to come to that realization, you have to, like we were talking about earlier, internalize and become right within yourself, so that you can actually know what's for you. So when it comes to faith and religion, if I'm correct, I know all religion teaches that you should be within someone that believes in your faith.
Right.
So that's just when it comes to religion. Now, if you do meet someone and, they may be spiritual, like Shanice was saying, that's a good foundation to build upon. Because some people may not understand, not more so the term religion, but the studies. Some people just may be Christian because their family's Christian, or Islam because their family's Islam. But they don't really practice it to understand it. So when you meet someone who is more serious in their studies, then you'll be able to say, okay, you know what? I thought this was going to be an intimate relationship. It ended up turning into a friendship. So now, instead of me being attracted to this Israelite woman, she's now a friend of mine. You see what I'm saying? Right. And now you're able to say, you know what? She inspired me to learn more about my foundation of whatever my faith is. So if you're Islamic or Christian or Buddhist, what have you, and you meet someone of the opposite religion or faith, most of the time that separation that you all have will more so show you where they are in your life.
Right.
And if it's to the point now where it's like, I just have to have her, I don't care about none of that.
Right.
Now you're kind of getting a little crazy. You just have to you're forcing them, and it's just
something funny came up. I have a friend that if you somebody's Buddhist, he will ask you to spell Buddhist, the one you're talking about, the kind of Buddhist you're talking about. It could be booty or Buddha.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's funny. But the reason why I asked that question is, I think, don't you? And I want both of you to answer this particular question. Don't you think that we've created more segregation for ourselves? You know, basing our identity on religion, sexuality, you know, even fraternities and sororities and all that. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I'll answer that first. I'll say when it comes to that, because that's more of that's like a humane type of question. When you think of humanity, and even if you go to evolution, right? Just people as a whole, we're like species. You know, there are millions of hundreds and thousands of species out here. So when it comes to us, the human, it's like a coin. It's two sides of a coin. It's like you can look at it in one positive perspective, or you can look at it from a more critical perspective, right? But when it comes to that, it's more of like we've been blessed with the opportunity of choice, right? And that's beautiful. You know, people across the globe, they see different things. You know, religion has helped a lot of people cope with existing. Of understanding, hey, you know, like I don't know what's after this, but in the region that I'm born, it's kind of helped me get through the day. Because some would say without it, you could allow what's around you to have influence, have an influence on you, and to whether it's negative or positive. But everybody doesn't have like I said earlier, everybody didn't have two fathers. So for those who didn't have a father, they had something to help them. So I think to answer your question, it does separate us, but we didn't more so, I don't want to say we created it to separate us. It was more so came out of need or a necessity, because all of us were placed on a planet. And like, you know, I would love to live off the land and not create big bills, but it's like, but you understand. But then you can say there, but you would not want to build a business and hire somebody who's lazy. You want to have, like, I have a dream. I want to have people come help me. I want to get people who are actually going to work and help me. So I feel like it's just kind of how you look at it.
So how I would answer that question is similar to what Rudy said. Is can you hear me? Okay. I would answer that question similar to Rudy in that I think the separation was man-made and not the intent. You know, you could start a foundation in 2020, and by the time it reaches 2050, the people within it sometimes can change the meaning. Your foundation can still be there, your mission and your vision can still be there, but what they're doing, acting in that, is different. And so I think that whether it's your way of life, your religion, sororities, fraternities, any of that may separate us. I think the initial intent wasn't to separate us. I think sometimes it grows that way. I think the initial intent was to celebrate our individuality within being a group. We're all African. We're all of African descent, but there's different tribes, there's different countries. Now we get into, you know, the whole politics of, you know, where each country gets their origin from. That's a little deep, but I'm just saying, even within a family, right, you can have siblings who look like each other but act totally different, right? And so you don't, as a parent, you don't want to say, you know, I need you to act like your brother because we're all family. You want to have this family name and say, listen, as part of this family name, this is what we do, this is how we represent. But you want to celebrate the individuality in that family, because that's going to help the family grow. If everybody is moving as a robot and doing the same, and everybody's doing the same thing, how does the family branch out? But if you're in media, you know, you're in TV, I'm a doctor, somebody else a lawyer, then guess what? We can begin to barter within our own family structure to be what we need to be. But if everybody's doing the same thing, exact same way, how do you grow? So I think that people make it separate because it's like, okay, my family better than yours, my tribe better than yours, this is better than that. And it's like, it's really not about that. It's really about us being one people, one nation, but respecting each other's differences and utilizing those differences to grow. You know what I mean? Not saying, you know, because you dress like this, I can't hang out with you, or because you speak like this, I can't. it's about character. As long as your character is not doing anything that directly affects or interrupts what I believe, then at the end of the day, how you dress or certain things you do, I mean, you have to draw that line in some things. But I mean, again, like I said, it goes back to character. If your character is not a contradiction or in direct conflict of what I stand for, then at the end of the day, we have to put our differences aside. As African people, whether we're Africans in Africa or Africans in the diaspora, we're fighting the fight of our lives. I don't have time to say, well, you got on black and white and, you know, and today the color is orange, so I'm going to hate on you. Like, you know, we're literally fighting for our lives. So I think we need to get off the things that separate us, or the things that we people try to use to say, well, you have to be this and you have to be that, and just love on each other, because we really all that we have and all that we got. So it was like, we need to focus on what's the common goal. Like, one of the things I love to say in terms of business, I love to work with great people who have a good business. Right. I want to work with, again, great people who have a good business. See, I ain't say that in reverse. Good people with a great business. Because at the end of the day, a great person with a good business is that if you're a great person, the level of success that you're going to reach is you don't have to be that famous. There's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that we have never heard of, but they're just as successful as the Steve Harveys, the Oprahs, the Bill Gates and stuff like that. So you don't even have to you don't have to be Amazon to be getting money like Amazon. This is why I'm saying, but if you have good character, I want to do business with you. I want to, because it's a vibe and it's a frequency and energy, and that success that we both trying to get, we will get there. But it's so important that I ain't say perfect people, I said great people who just striving to just be aligned and do great things in the world and have that social impact. So it's really about
my brother.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, it's just really, like, again, about getting out our own way. If we can realize the bigger picture, really focus on the bigger picture, and respect each other's differences, and how can them differences bring us closer to our main goal, then I think the fact that I'm different from you or believe different from you won't even be a thing.
Okay.
You know?
Brother Rudy had to say something.
I was just going to add too, and it's real short, but we have to not be arrogant as humans, and go back to, like, even when humans were first came about, like, the whole goal was to make it to tomorrow. Right. Like, that's really all it was. from hunter gatherers. So everything in between that we project and think that's going to happen in the future, like, we have to, like, just like you said, cut out all the separation, or more so feeding into the separation, because, like, everyone's doing what they have to do to get through to tomorrow. Like, that's it. So if you're a fraternity, if you have a religion, if you, whatever it is that you're doing what's going to help you get to tomorrow. So it's keeping you sane, it's keeping your sanity. It's kind of like, oh, you want to be in that sorority, that's cool, you know, like, or you want to play that sport, it's like, that's how you want to spend your life. That's you alone. But at the end of the day, for certain issues that all of us that are affecting humanity, we all have to be in a position to work together. And I feel like today, it's with the advances of humanity, with television, cameras, radio, all of these things, that where we can kind of document the wrong, and it can kind of now play and help people make a decision, like, well, they shouldn't be doing that, or that's wrong. That's kind of what we're being faced with. We're kind of seeing, well, we're trying to make it to tomorrow, but man, that happened last week. How are we going to do it that? Like, we just going to let that slide? Right. So I feel like that's just kind of where we are now, even as all of us are, servants to our people, humanitarians. So I try to always, with all that I do, serve in the mindset of, let me understand that we are humans, and that we have to think in a very humane way.
Right. So who spoke to you about Africa the first time growing up?
Me growing up. It was my mother. My mother actually attended Clark Atlanta University. Okay. HBCU, Historically Black College. Right. So she was always big on history. She was an educator for 15 years. Now she's a what's her role? I'm sorry, Ma, I just forgot that.
He still love you,
right? Academic. She's the academic director for a school, private school, right? So she's over the curriculum. She's over the library. Right. She's been doing great for so many years. So, but she's always been big on us knowing our history, and just instilling that. So my mother was the first, and my father, they were the first one to introduce me to the history of my people. So I make sure I do the same for my child as well.
Right. So how did they do that? They kept telling you stories, or they would show you images? Or what?
Well, it was more so. Let's just say, growing up in Atlanta, Atlanta is a pivotal place within African American history. Right. A lot of things just in the South in general, spurred out from just need and distress. We were going through so much where certain trailblazers like a Dr. Martin Luther King, or Rosa Parks, they just had to kind of stand up. They were being appointed to do certain things. So just the history of for the African American is very prevalent in Atlanta. So it's one of those things that where you can't really avoid it, because streets are named after it. My mother was big in church, so she was taking us to field trips. So we went to like the Martin Luther King Museum. Right. So as far as like how I was first introduced, I'm sure it was probably through a book, or my mom was showing me something, you know. But even in elementary school, at grade school, they would show us things at school during Black History Month, or because that's the month of February in America is Black History Month. So that's a month where, we're being taught about our history. But I'll probably say, probably through a book, or just through conversation my mom introduced to. I can't really put a specific occasion where I remember, because it was so normal in my life. Right.
And at what point did you make up your mind that I have to see this land someday?
Oh man, I'll probably say I know I was young. I know I was a kid. It was one of those, once I learned about African American and learning about us as a people, I was probably in grade school, probably a little after kindergarten, first grade, around that age. And I knew that, one day I'm going to go back there. It was just one of, I'm going to do it whenever I can. So probably when I was a kid, I knew I was going to.
Did you have that negative influence in school, thinking Africa was one jungle with people living on trees and all that?
Well, for me, we had African classmates. So I had best friends who are African, so I had the luxury of actually talking with them, and they were just it would probably be more so they would say like, this is my name, but this is my real name, because they would shorten the name. And I'd be like, why are you shortening your name?
So let me tell you my name. My name is Kwabena Poku Apia. Try saying that.
Kwabena Apoku Apia.
Kwabena Poku.
Kwamana Poku Apia. Kwamana Poku Apia.
Yeah, Kwabena. You know Kwabena?
Is that Monday?
Tuesday.
Okay.
Monday is Kwejo.
That's what it is.
Tuesday is Kwabena.
Yeah, I'm Thursday.
You're Thursday, so you are Yeah, okay, that's good.
We're doing our research.
Yes.
I mean, you got to learn languages. It will be a section where I'll be teaching languages as well.
Okay.
Just so people can familiarize with some of the words.
That's definitely a part of this whole train, like shift. This whole shift.
This is the shift. Right.
Yeah, definitely engrossing ourselves in the language, because I was talking, when we were in Cape Coast, I was talking to one of the elders. That's like a sign of respect, when you take time to learn. You can't be somewhere and then want them to adjust to you, and you don't try to adjust to them.
And that's one issue that we've had. People get here and they expect people here to adjust to them and what they believe in and what they think is right. And that's been a major issue. But we'll come to that. We'll come to that extensively. How did you know about Africa? Who taught you about it?
So I think it's like Rudy said, it wasn't like one moment in time where I got set down and was like, okay, I'm going to tell you everything about Africa in one thing. It was just over time. And like I said earlier, my upbringing has been a village upbringing. So it's been people in and out of my life, especially within my Israelite community, my family community, even school community, and my mentors. Like I have like 5 mentors. So everybody has played a pivotal role in me getting information over time. So whether it was watching Roots, or whether it was just sitting down hearing a story, whether it was just in school, and even sometimes in school they don't give you everything, but it still contributed to some kind of knowledge where I could go back and ask a question. So I would say like it wasn't one moment in time. It was just over time, just hearing different conversations, being told stories, or just hearing different things from the people in my life about Africa. And then as I got older, you know, just wanting to be more inquisitive about it because of what I heard, right? And understanding that these false narratives that, you know, are out there. But it really didn't become a reality of being able to get here because it seemed, when you're younger, everything seems so far off. Even around the corner seemed 20 minutes and it's only 2 minutes, right? So the younger I was, it seemed like this far place. But when I got older, it got closer and closer and closer. Like, okay, this is a reality. I can really get there. And even this trip has been, like I told you before we even started, like a spiritual journey for me, because it was something that I said I wanted to do, but to really like say it in your mind, you know, and then like see the progression of it, and to get here and then to be in Ghana, you know, is an awesome experience. But it really just started in my mind. It's like, okay, I want to visit Ghana. And then actually, once I said it here, I started saying it here. And so as I got closer, you know, I had people call me like, are you still leaving? Yes. It's like, you really going? Like, you know, and it was like, yes, I'm really going. I can't believe it either. But, you know, just being able to get here. But like I said, just going back to your original question, it just was something that I learned about Africa just over the extent of my life. And then just growing into my own person, I wanted to know more. And I didn't want to listen to that narrative about what it was going to be like and you're going to experience this, because you really don't know a place until you get here. Like, even if I would have read every book, watched every video, until I stepped on this soil, being here in Ghana, it's still a different experience. Like, you know, this may be controversial, but I consider Israel Northeast Africa. I don't subscribe to the whole subscribe to the whole Middle East thing, right? So that had a feeling too. To me, that was my first time touching on the African continent when I went to Israel. Again, because I say that's Northeast Africa. And so when I got there, it was a feeling. It was a different feeling from when I got to Ghana. You know what I mean? So to come back to this place with all this history about where our ancestors were sold and everything like that, it had a different feeling. So to be able to like bring something that when you're growing up so far away, so close to like a reality where you like, I'm in Ghana. Like, even now talking to you, I probably won't even realize the magnitude of this moment until I'm back and feel like, how is it in Ghana? Like, you know what I mean? So it's really like how, you know, when you're a kid, you have this wild imagination, like, oh, I want to do this. And it's like my imagination, my dreams have really become a reality. And I'm speechless, like, just being here. But yeah.
Being an Israelite, how do you relate that to being African?
Because
it's a deliberate question.
I know, and I understand where you're trying to go with it, because I believe, and we believe, the people in the Bible were black. So it's not all civilization started from Africa. So whether we branched out and whether by osmosis, whatever happened, you have other people, but civilization, and it's biblical proof that it started in Africa. So I don't, you know, try to put my way of life on anybody. That's not what I'm here to do.
It's not your way of life, but I want you to put something. I want you to educate people on certain things. That's why I put that question to you.
Yeah. So again, civilization started.
Because what I know, somebody might not know. Yes. That's why I want you.
You want me to bring it up? Right. Okay. Well, I hope I do it some justice. So anyway, civilization started in Africa. So there is no like, and that's not to say that every black person, because you're black, you were automatically Israelite. That's not what I'm saying. But civilization started in Africa. So when you say that you're Israelite and Israel is Northeast Africa, because it is, and to make the transition of what we went through in this transatlantic slave trade, you could read the scriptures and see that like that's what happened to us. But knowing that the people that are talked about in the scriptures are black is not a far off thing, you know. And this is why we have this debate about Israel being the Middle East and being Northeast Africa, because it separates what. And then because the people that occupy Israel now look a little different, it's like, well, how? But this is why it's important to know history. You know what I mean? Look at America before Christopher Columbus said he discovered it. What did it look like? Yeah. Who was occupying that space, right? And now what it look like. So what something is currently is not always a true reflection of what it always has been. You know what I mean? So it's important to know our history, and I would just leave it at that.
Do you see any similarities in culture or way of life comparing being an Israelite and being an African?
Yeah, I think is one and the same. I think that, like, again, over time, over assimilation and people bringing in things, you may say, well, this is different. But if you look at the essence, right, of respecting the ancestors, of praising the Most High, and the cultural thing, the essence of family, you know, you will see the similarities. But you have to be, you can't always just come with a natural eye and have a natural eye wanting to see division. You have to come with the discernment eye, spiritual eye, wanting to see because any statement can be true.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
If somebody say the sky is blue and then you say, no, it's a royal blue, it's, you know, it's a thing of semantics and what we say. Like, anybody can make anything true, right? That's why statistics sometimes is a crazy thing, because we can make the numbers be what we need them to be. We can make, so it's really, if you come looking for togetherness, you will see the similarities. But if you come looking for divisiveness, you will see the divisiveness. And then everything that, like, happens within our way of life, when we can't explain it, then it's like, okay, well, this is a contradiction. But if we really understand the Most High, wherever we call on the Most High as, right, we are not going to understand. You mean to tell me you're going to understand the everything about the Supreme Being? We don't even understand everything about each other. So what more than something greater than us? So maybe everything that's in the scriptures or everything that you do, it may not be a definitive answer the way you want it, and it may not make sense, but was it supposed to make sense? Because then we're going to act like God. I believe we are gods in our own way, because we're made in his image, but then we would try to say we know more than God. So everything is not explainable, and that's okay.
Yeah. You read the Bible, right?
Yes.
Okay. You read a lot of the Old Testament, right?
Yeah, well, we don't refer to those, but I understand how you're trying to make the division.
Yeah,
yes,
just so you know, everybody will have an understanding of what I'm talking about. There are several instances that I've been able to relate the Old Testament to the traditional practices of my tribe. That's the Ashanti tribe, and there's no difference.
Oh, yeah, Ashanti, okay.
Even the way, you know, the king will just, you know, come and sit and state and everything. It's the same type setup. The horns that they blow, all that stuff.
Because they were African people.
That's why I was trying to get you to educate people on some of these things. You know, it's more. I mean, I'll be educating people more on some of these things, but then this program actually is not based on.
Yeah, that's why I stopped, because I don't want people to get.
But then it goes deeper like
yes,
that. That's
really
why I was trying to. That's why I was asking you to put certain things out there so people will know. There's a book called Hebrewism of West Africa. I forgot who wrote it, but it gives you insight into a whole lot of things, and it's very, very deep, very deep. So I'm glad, you know, some factions actually believe in that, and it's actually going on like that. This is the shift. We have to let people know what it is, but it doesn't matter really. I mean, it don't matter what somebody believes in or not. The most ultimate thing is the fact that we are black people, and we are related not only by skin color but by DNA, by spirit. You know, in every other way. You know, you see
that's
what
powerful.
I'm saying?
What you just said, by spirit. That's what it really is
by
about.
Spirit.
Regardless,
that's what it is, by spirit. Regardless. Because even during the times from history that I know, before they go to war, everybody had their own practice they did in their house. What I have in my family home is not the same as what somebody else have in their family home. It's different. Totally different. It's not the same. Everybody had their own belief system. But at the end of the day, they joined all those forces to fight a common cause. And that's how they won. So all that segregation does come about because of religion, because of whatever the issue is. It's not really important.
It's time for a shift. This is the shift. Big change, big things in the phase. Yeah, big change, big things.